And actually in Fanshawe, between our first and second year, they ended up getting a sponsorship, I think, through Sony. And they got the old recording studio there and they put a real pro studio. And I think the idea behind that was that they were going to, we'd use it during the school year, and then that people, the recording artists, could use it during the summer when the school was off. So I'm not sure if that ever happened, but anyway, so that was our first pro studio experience. And then so when we actually decided to do our CD, we scouted out, we checked a whole bunch of studios. Now of course the most impressive was where we recorded, was Raven Street, and back then there was also Distortion Studios, which I think the price was just too much for us, and we found Raven Street suited. It was a great environment and we enjoyed it a lot. It's a real recording studio. It had a grand piano there. You have, of course, the vocal booth, and you had a large live room, and of course your console room, big console room. I believe it was a 32 track board. We were on 2-inch tape back then. It wasn't cheap. 2-inch tape back then, I think it ran you $300, and we ended up using I believe three of them. With regards to Where's Mike, the CD, 11 tracks. It was recorded in 1996. We actually hired this guy who was kind of new to it, our engineer Jason Jack Nunes, and I think he's still actually staying. He's got his own studio, and a very good experience. We had 120 hours to play with. Basically gave us 10 hours a song or 12 hours a song. I'd say one of the fun sessions was we did a big gang background vocals, and we organized a whole bunch of the local boys that we knew from bands around town and said, hey guys, we want to come in on a background vocal session. So we booked 3 hours at the studio, and I think we had about a dozen of them around the microphone, and you know, the engineers are like going, okay, what's going to happen tonight? So anyway, we got them to sing backgrounds on Good Feeling, a song I actually wrote in Fanshawe college days, so I guess back in '89. That was a fun session. Getting the bed tracks was kind of a nightmare there because some of the equipment wasn't working. And High and Dry was a newer song. I believe that one and Into the Night, I was writing the lyrics while we were recording these songs, so they were kind of last minute. High and Dry, actually I'd say most of the themes is kind of boy-girl situation. So High and Dry, kind of the guy is just annoyed that she's got other priorities and he's being ignored. So Satisfy Her, well, I think that title says it's on its own. Let Her Go actually was a new song as well, acoustic song. I think that's actually my most favorite track on the CD. Basically, I don't think I had a girlfriend at that point, but I think I was thinking back at one of my old relationships and how, you know, you're trying to let go of the feeling of that person who used to be in your life. Good Feeling, rock and roll, kind of a Van Halen style tune, written, like I said, back in my Fanshawe days. Angry Young Man, that's about, in the 90s you had a lot of the grunge, and a lot of the kids back then, you know, had a kind of a poor attitude. Don't Talk to Me About Love was a love song. Into the Night, the title track. I think I was almost going for a kind of a vampire theme. You roam to quench your hunger. Hey, those vampires. Get on Your Feet, that's probably the oldest song. I think I wrote that back in the 80s. And that's a kind of an inspirational, you know, don't let life beat you down. Fate was a song actually Ian wrote, last minute addition because we had some extra time, and Ian wrote this classical guitar piece. You know, originally says, oh, you know, will it fit our format? And we said, whatever, it's our CD, we can do what we want. I'm glad we put that on there because it actually surprises people, saying like, really, that's you guys? It's mostly Ian, of course. Where's Mike can sound like anything. The Messenger, another old song. I had written that before college. In fact, I did record that song in college as well. That one's more kind of a sci-fi fantasy thing where I think in my mind what I had pictured was kind of a gargoyle demon. This the messenger is the one who's going to deal and take them down. And finally, the last song, which is just a joke song, I Saw Ya. When we actually recorded it at the studio, it was the second time we actually played the song live off the floor everybody's there just being maniacs, and but you know, we decided, well, let's throw it in. It's a fun song at the end, and we can shock people. Yeah, no, it did make sense back then to do CDs because, well, of course the records were pretty well out. So this is 96. Yeah, you kids watching this right there, basically there wasn't any internet. The way you moved your product, whether it was either tape, which I think that was also pretty well dead, or CD. And we said, well, let's print 1,000. We were doing a lot of shows back then, probably a couple a month, and generally they were weekends. And we sold, well, in the end, we pressed 1,000, we sold 750. And I still got boxes, 5 boxes left of CDs, so if anybody needs one, come and talk to me. Indie Pool. Indie Pool. So they had a kind of a promo CD going out across the country, and we ended up getting our Into the Night title track on that. A friend of mine, Johnny G, it wasn't a film, but it was a script. He'd done this kind of collage, or like a 2.5-minute trailer or something like that of this script that he had. So he got some actors, and he ended up using part of it. And Ed Egan, who's an old fist player, but anyway, he kind of worked it in, did it a little more electronically on it. But anyway, it sounded actually pretty cool. But we were doing these sessions. The original was on a weekend, and then we were going in during the weeknights because I think that was the cheaper time, like 6 to 9 or 7 to 10 o'clock. And that's when we would record our other guitar tracks, the bass tracks, all the vocals. We actually ended up getting Ian to work at the studio. He was actually fixing up the console and some other pieces. He can tell you about that. But because he was doing that work, he was getting paid either $10 an hour for him in his pocket, or he got $20 for towards the recording time. So of course we took that $20 towards the recording time. Ian actually ended up saving us about $1,000. It was a costly project. In the end, we were selling our CDs at cost. So it cost about $10 to make, and we were selling them for $10. So definitely we weren't going to be millionaires. I think we actually budgeted for around $6,000. We actually ended up with a pretty good deal. We had 120 hours. They charged us 60 hours. The first 60 was full price. The next 40 was a discounted, and they threw in 20 hours free. So basically that was giving us, from your recording to when you're doing your final mix down, that gave you basically 10 hours per song. And that's what we calculated that. Like I said, the last song was just a joke song, so that really didn't take any time. And I think we turned out a pretty good quality product. One of the things I have to say about the CD, when we were promoting it, when we had released it, we did a couple of big shows we backed up Jeff Healey one time, and we backed up Sass Jordan another time. And this is when we were doing a lot of the our material, so we were doing about 50-50, so 50 cover, 50 originals. After the those two shows, I think both times we sold between 25 and 30 CDs each, and people were loving us. And we got, back then of course we didn't have the internet, so the only way you got the feedback was by seeing people at the shows say, "Oh, I got your CD, I love it," right? It's not like they could write you, or you have a band presence on the web. But and I guess we were showing appreciation by people coming out to our shows. We had a lot of people come out to our shows for that.